One of the biggest things I've learned as a grown up is it doesn't serve me well to lie or fudge the numbers about my lifestyle or my workouts or my nutrition. So when I've gone to my doctor and she asks, "How much alcohol do you drink a week?" I tell her the truth, and her jaw drops, and then she'll say, I'm going to times that by two. All doctors do because nobody tells the truth. And I'm like, "No, you don't actually have to multiply mine by two. I'm being blatantly honest with you because I want to know what's happening in my body and what I need to do to fix it. And if I give you the wrong information, you're going to give me the wrong information back." Well, that is exactly what happened with Sara Frenza, who is a published fitness model and writer, and she's a nutritional and body transformational coach. She's basically like a fitness nutrition expert and a whole lot of fun to talk to. So before our conversation today, I sent Sarah my 5-day meal plan, and I put everything in there. Um, and I was very, very surprised because in the past month, I've gained weight. I've stopped drinking, except for on the weekends. I only drink red wine and so I don't have mixing cocktails or anything. And I haven't been snacking. So I thought I was eating better. I thought I was doing better. I've added like weight training and yoga and Pilates, and I still gained a pound. And I am gobsmacked about why the hell this is happening. And I'm not alone. I have this conversation with so many women, in midlife who are really confused about this whole weight issue. I added protein. I literally spend my entire day trying to get all the protein in. It's so frustrating. So you can imagine my shock when Sarah jumped on the call with me and said, "So, hey, you remember how you thought you were doing this and you were consuming this many calories? Well, I have some news for you about everything you've told me, and I think I know why you're gaining weight." So, this is like a session that's changed my life, I hope. I'm going to listen to everything Sarah tells me. I'm going to make the changes. There was some pretty incredible information I really had no idea about, and I talk to people all the time. So I love that I'm always learning on this podcast. And today I have learned a lot, and I hope that everything I learn is going to make my jeans just a little bit looser. So tune in and listen to my conversation with Sara Frenza. I think you're going to get a lot of great information and helpful tips. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning. How are ya?
I'm great. I love that your background is a gym and I am
Yes.
in my unfinished basement. I had to turn my furnace off because the noise gets picked up in my microphone.
Oh, does it really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's what I loved about COVID. Everybody came home and mom got shoved to the basement.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but your background looks really nice too. I
I
love it.
thank you. I love the art of illusion. So Sarah, this episode is going to be very exciting for me. Well, exciting, revealing, scary, hard, maybe upsetting. I don't know. We'll find out. But so Sarah, I've sent you sort of a week long journal of the food I've been eating.
Yes.
And we're going to talk today about, you're a fitness and nutrition expert, so it's great to have you use me as a guinea pig for my audience to talk about what the hell is happening in our mid 40s and 50s because
Yeah.
I feel personally ripped off. I am a big wine drinker. I
Yes.
stopped drinking wine during the week. So
Mm-hmm.
not when I'm cooking or anything, all the triggery places I love to drink wine. Um,
Yes.
I've been eating very healthy. I'm practically had to quit my job just to get my daily intake of protein. And I'm still not even tracking it. And I've gained 2 pounds and I am not sleeping better and I'm very upset.
Yes. So, thanks for filling out the assessment. So, I had Jackie fill out an assessment form, like where I'm getting a little bit more information about what's currently going on. And what I'd love to do is kind of dive deep with you. And I love that you sent me your food log as well too. So I was actually able to enter your food information into an app and actually get you what your average calories and protein intake is. So we'll go over that as
Okay.
well too. But before we dive into that, like what I want to start off with first is just asking you a few questions. Why I do these assessments, and I offer it for free to anybody that's part of my community. You are part of my Facebook group. You're also an avid reader of my email list as well too. So thank you for that. But I offer it for free because I want to empower women to give them clarity. There's so much information that's out there and they really just don't understand what is happening. And when you came to me and you're like, can I give you my food log, can we do that? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I love, let's dive into this and see really what's going on. So I'm going to ask you some questions so that I can get a little bit more clarity of, what your history was before this. Okay. So I know that you said that you've gained 2 pounds over the past 2 months, but you said over the past year, you've gained about 10 pounds. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And so what I want to know first is what was your activity level like before? I know in the past month, I know you're in past month, you said you've been working out,
Yeah.
correct?
Hmm.
So you've been working out for the past month. And how many days a week are you training? You're doing strength training?
Strength training 3 days, and the other two I'm doing like a Pilates or yoga, and then I fully take off on the weekends. But usually on the and oh sorry, I start my day. I get about 2 to 3,000 steps in by just walking my dog at the dog park, and there's some
Okay,
hills, so I
perfect.
make sure I climb up the hills. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
That's okay.
But
And
I feel
so,
like everything I'm going to tell you is so much that I hear in my community is that like we're working harder. We're taking the great advice about, not, getting our cardio going for more than like 30 minutes, not triggering our cortisol. Um,
yes.
but I've been doing that and I'm like, yeah, okay. So I'm
So what's your daily average in terms of steps right now? What do you average per day?
Okay, so I don't count steps or anything when I'm working out. I don't know how to translate that. I am
Yes.
sort of a hit and miss person. There are days I can easily do 10K depending on what I'm doing, but I have a
Okay.
very sedentary job. Like I'm creating content, so I'm always on my computer. I have a stand-up desk, um,
Okay.
which I barely ever use. It just makes me feel good knowing that it's potentially there. Um,
Yes.
so on a bad day, like on a normal day, which I would call a bad day, like maybe 5,000, not including
Okay.
workouts.
Okay.
And not all in bulk, like a morning walk, then maybe errands and groceries.
Yeah,
I
that's
try to walk
fine.
where I can. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we're basically between 5 to K steps daily on average. So let's just say over a period of 7 days, maybe we're averaging about 7,000. Would that be fair? Like how many
Mm,
days do you
I
actually
would
get
say go down
10K?
to five. Go down to
Okay.
5,000.
Okay, so 5K steps average. Okay, so this would actually be considered somewhat sedentary, even though you're getting your workouts in,
Yep.
is considered somewhat sedentary. So that is great information. Now, before you were doing this, before you started strength training, and over the past year, what was your activity level like?
It's super hit and miss. Like, there are days where I'd ride my bike down to the beach and go for walks and go in the water, go paddle boarding. I mean, that would be like a super active day. Like I would probably
Okay.
get like 20,000 steps in, including biking. Then there are days where I just work. I have a front porch that I love and I work out there in the summer and I just sit
Oh,
there all day
nice.
working. So I'm getting
Okay.
like maybe 2,000 steps in and nothing.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm a very sporadic person, unfortunately. So I guess like, yeah, I'm verging on completely sedentary there. I mean, the other
Yes.
weekend I went cross country skiing and I think we did like almost 10K. So,
Mhm.
but then the next day I didn't move because I was so
Yeah.
tired.
So a little bit inconsistent in terms of daily activity level. And I'll get into how our bodies actually burn calories, but I want to get the information first. So prior to a month, like the past month, you weren't doing any strength training. So you just started your strength training program about a month ago. Is that correct, Jackie?
Yeah, during COVID, I worked out all the time for
Okay.
sanity reasons. But then I dropped the ball after COVID because we were getting out more. I was doing more errands. Yeah. So like I would say the last 2 years have been pretty sedentary.
Okay, so 2 years. No, and when you were working out before during COVID, were you doing strength training or what type of
Not
training
as
were
much
you
as I
doing?
could. I was doing more like hit, um,
Okay.
and some Pilates, mostly hit stuff, and sporadically as well, like maybe 2 or 3 times a week max.
Okay, so it was mostly hit and Pilates, so cardio and pretty much
Mhm.
cardio and Pilates. Okay. I'm writing notes here so I can go back to it. So I hope you don't
Yeah.
mind that. So the other thing that really stood out to me when you did your assessment with me, Jackie, is that energy levels are quite low.
Yeah.
You said that you typically 2 p.m. and after your energy levels drop. Is that correct? And
Yeah.
how long has the energy levels been low like that for?
Probably 2 years.
Okay, past
So
two
I'm
years.
also postmenopausal, 7, almost 8 years now.
Okay.
And I cannot take hormone therapy, so I haven't really had anything to give me that extra kick.
Yes. Okay. Got it. And sleep. So
Mm.
sleep, you're averaging between 5 to 7 hours per night. So
Yeah.
this is very typical for women that are in menopause, perimenopause, for them to have difficulty sleeping. It's mostly related with the loss of progesterone that happens during this time period. So when did the sleep really impact you, or when did you notice that you were getting 5 to 7 hours of sleep per night?
So I would say for the past 7 years, okay, so my
Okay.
daughter is 13. So
Yes.
let's say 13 years because I had her late in life. And
Yes.
when finally started sleeping through the night, I realized I was in perimenopause. So I was
Mm,
then not sleeping because of, my cortisol and everything else. Then I would say I got a little more back on track about a year ago. I take melatonin and magnesium. Sometimes I take cannabis to sleep,
mhm.
which the cannabis really helps. Melatonin hit and miss. Um,
Yes.
so my sleep has been a little less interrupted, but shorter. But then again, last night I went to bed at 10, I read till 11, and I was up till 1:30 wired. Like I
Hmm.
couldn't sleep.
What do you
So,
do before you go to bed? What's your bedtime routine like? Your sleep
well,
hygiene.
like any bad mother, from 9 to 10 we watch Squid Games with my daughter. Um and then I go to bed and I usually read for 45 minutes to an hour. I don't snack.
Okay.
I'm not a big snacker, so I'm not a big snacker at night.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing exciting.
Okay. So you're really actually shutting off about 1 hour. Like the time that you would like to be at bed at is 11 p.m. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And wake up time. I mean, I know you're only getting 5 to 7 hours of sleep, but typically what time do you normally wake up at?
Um 7 usually.
So, yeah, I kind of I like your bedtime routine. Have you ever thought about taking like a warm bath or anything like that during that 1 hour? The bath really tends to help like calm the sympathetic nervous system down. Also, it changes the temperature in our body, which can help us get better quality sleep. Have you ever tried doing any of those
No.
tactics before bed? Okay. So typically what I would recommend, right? So the things that stand out to me is that you have very low energy levels, activity level, you're pretty much like on, on average sedentary.
Yeah.
Sleep is not very great as well either. You're still experiencing, menopausal symptoms as well too. And in terms of your nutrition, let's talk about that for a second here. I know you gave me your food log, which I'm going to pull it up here. So when I asked you the question of how many calories on average you think you're eating per day, you gave me between 1,300 to 1,500 calories per day.
Okay.
So
I
I
should
know
tell you I suck at math. So,
that's okay. No problem. I want to bring this up because I think it's really important. We actually underestimate how much food we think we're eating, between 25 to 50%. Okay, this is what the studies show us. And even myself, I'm a nutrition coach. This is what I do. I can be off a lot of times in trying to estimate how many calories or how much I feel that I'm eating of that particular food item. So when you provided me your log here, Jackie, what I averaged, I mean, you didn't weigh your food out. So
Yeah.
again, this is a guess based on what you provided to me. So you're averaging about 1,600 calories per day. Your average in terms of protein intake is like around 95 grams of protein. Now, I just want to highlight these two major things. So, and again, this can actually be higher because you didn't weigh out your food, right? Like with some of them, I don't know how much the sourdough bread was, which brand of sourdough you're using. You know,
Yeah.
if you had like even your toast, I didn't know that. If you had carrots and hummus, like how much hummus did you have? Was it 1 tablespoon, 3 tablespoons, right? How
Ah.
much did you have of that? I know you gave me 10 dark chocolate covered almonds, even with your glass of red wine. Was it 5 ounces? Was it 8 ounces? Right. So all of these things can play a very big, can really affect those overall numbers. But based on the information that you provided me and me kind of best guessing on the information that you gave me, the average is about 1,600 calories per day.
Wow.
Okay.
And I'm not moving.
And you're not moving and you're not moving as much. So I think like what I always recommend to everyone that comes to work with us or not, or when we do these metabolic assessments, is do a true audit of your nutrition. And that does involve weighing and tracking your food. And I know it's like, oh my gosh, I got to weigh and track my food, but it's an audit. It doesn't need to be forever, but I know that if we want to get to a place of not tracking, we have to start with tracking, and we have to start with weighing your food, because then you really understand what your portions look like, and you really it becomes a really big eye opener for a lot of people. In terms of eating out, you on the form you put that you have 3 to 4 times a week in terms of takeout. Is that correct? Where you're eating non-home cooked meals, or is that not correct?
That's not. I'm not sure why twice a week, I would say. Like
Twice a week. Okay.
usually Friday or Saturday night, and then sometimes
Okay.
one night during the week when we're coming back late from like piano lessons and stuff, we might just order a pizza. I
Okay.
don't know why I
So
put that. Okay.
yeah, it could. I don't know why yeah. So the question, it had options for you, maybe checked off the wrong one. So the one that you clicked off was eat processed foods 50% of the time, 3 to 4 takeout meals are takeout. So that's
Oh,
more, two to
okay.
three meals are takeout. Is that correct? 2 to 3
I'd
meals.
say two. Yeah.
That's fine. But also want you to make you aware that with those takeout meals, right, when we're eating at restaurants, unless they have the nutritional information, which I really hope that Canada mandates this, that we have nutritional information for all restaurants to give you the amount of calories, and also would be good to give you the breakdown of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats.
Yeah.
But typically, when we're taking takeout, a lot of those meals can be between 800 to 1,000 calories, right?
Hmm.
So, what we're looking at is the average amount of calories over a 7-day period. So, if you were eating, 1,400 calories 5 days a week, and then we incorporate two takeout meals that are like, let's say, 800 to 1,000 calories. Now, those days that you're having takeout meals, you're probably closer to 2,000.
Holy Jabba the Hutt. I seriously,
Yeah.
I think I
So
have to get off this call and go for a run.
no, we don't need to do that. Okay. Right. What we need to do is just like what I recommend is that you actually use a food tracking app like Chronometer. I love Chronometer because it not only gives you your calories, your macros, your protein, and all of that, but it also gives you a lot of nutritional information in terms of like vitamins found in food. Particularly fiber is what we want to know, is how much fiber you're getting in daily.
Okay.
So, I think this will give you some insight in terms of download the app, track your food and weigh your food for at least 7 days. And then you'll really be able, the app will calculate everything for you. So that's really great because you'll enter everything into the app, what you're eating, it'll calculate everything for you. You know, if you're having restaurant meals, like when you had the pizza, I just looked up a pizza with mushroom and pepperoni is similar, did 2 slices in there. And so I was able to kind of find something that was very similar. But I think when we do this exercise, it really opens our eyes in terms of what's really going on with our nutrition.
Yeah.
That smoothie that you make in the morning, do you know how
Yeah.
many calories that is?
No.
Yeah, so I calculated that smoothie based on the
No.
information that you provided me. It's 780 calories.
Oh my God. That is
Yes.
like, that was me virtue signaling my health there. I was like, it's got avocados and banana and chia seeds and yogurt.
Yeah, and this is the other thing, you know, we can be eating clean, but those still, like, at the end of the day, when we look at fat loss, right? When we look at fat loss and when we look at building muscle, like, calories is calories, right?
Yeah.
We need to be in a calorie deficit in order for our bodies to lose body fat. And so this is very common. I eat healthy all the time. So, you know, I did a post about this once because I hear this very common. I don't know what's going on. I eat very clean. I eat very healthy. Okay, well, let's look at the salad that you made today. So you've got salad, then you've got goat cheese, then you've got avocado, right? Then we've got nuts in it, then we've got dried cranberries in it, and then you're adding some protein in it, some chicken as well too. Then we're free pouring olive oil all over it. Now that salad can be 1,000 calories. So
Yeah.
we got to think about fats, oils, avocados, nuts, cheeses. These are all considered fats, right? When it comes to the 3 macronutrients, foods are broken up into 3 macronutrients: protein, carbs, and fats. Fats equate to 9 calories per 1 gram of fat, compared to carbohydrates and fats, where it's 4 calories per 1 gram of carb or protein. So fats are naturally just more higher in calories. So, you know, and I'm glad you gave this to me because I think a lot of women are the same thing. I'm going to make myself a smoothie, and
Yeah.
just so the your audience can know what you put in there: 1 avocado, 1 banana, 2 unpeeled kiwis, a cup of frozen mango, water. You added some chia seeds in there. 1 scoop of Vega protein powder. So you added some protein powder in there as well too. So when I calculated this smoothie, 780 calories. So on the days that you had this, like this particular day, you reached 1,800 calories that day. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not that you can't have this smoothie. The portions need to be smaller of this smoothie, right? So maybe instead of doing a half, like a full avocado, maybe you do half of an avocado. Maybe you do half of a banana. Maybe you do 1 peeled kiwi. Maybe you do half a cup of frozen mango, so that like we trim this whole meal
Yeah.
down to like 400 calories to really align with, you know, your goals at the moment.
Yeah.
So, you know, some days were higher, some days were like 1,700 calories, some days you're at 1,400 calories, some days you're at 1,800 calories. What we look at is an average. You only gave me a 5-day food log. It would have been nice to have 7 days, because that's really what we're looking at. When we look at total amount of calories, we want to look at what the average is over a 7-day period.
Okay.
So, when I look at the information that you provided me in terms of, you know, your body weight, your current body weight, your current exercise activity level, you're pretty much eating at maintenance calories and a little above maintenance calories. So, what I suspect, Jackie, is that the weight gain is happening because you are overeating in calories. You're eating more than your body needs,
Yeah.
and that's why you've gained the 2 pounds. I would have liked to have seen like a Friday night as well too in
That
here,
was in
because I think.
there. That
Oh,
was
was
in
it? Oh,
there.
okay, let me
So
look
that,
here.
yeah, that log, I don't,
Oh,
didn't
I have
try.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Oh,
Tuesday,
Saturday.
Wednesday. Yeah, it would have been nice to see a Friday night as well too.
Yeah.
I think you had 2 glasses of wine in this
Three.
here.
Three on
Three,
Friday.
3 hours. Yeah, so I would have liked to have
Yeah.
seen like if you had 3 glasses of wine on a Friday night, whether that would have made you put you up to your average to like more like 1,700 calories, right?
Oh, and better, we had company. So my husband made a pasta dish with Italian pasta, and it was
Yeah.
like a beef bolognese.
Okay.
So probably 6,000 calories for dinner alone Friday.
Probably. Yeah. Like, so how many glasses of wine did you have? Actually, let's calculate
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah,
Friday night we had company. We had that bolognese dish. During the day I had the smoothie. Um,
yeah. Okay. So smoothie, 780 Let's actually let's count the calories
okay.
of that dinner alone.
Yeah,
So you
let's
had
like a
bolognese pasta.
bolognese beef. Well, it
Yeah.
was like a braised beef, like a bolognese. So let's just call it that. Pasta. He usually makes everything pretty clean, like his own tomato sauce. There's no sugars in it, but still pasta, like the
Yeah.
tagliatelle, whatever call it. No parm. Oh, garlic bread. I make garlic bread because my
Okay, so let's just say you had about 300 grams of that pasta. So that right there,
yeah.
let's just see here, bolognese pasta sauce. Oh, that's just the sauce is like
Yeah.
300 calories. Then we need to do the pasta.
Okay.
So what kind of pasta did you have?
Tagliatelle, like the
Tagliatelle.
nest.
Okay,
Yeah.
tagliatelle. 100 grams of that. That's another 144 calories. Then you had what? You had
4 glasses of wine.
okay, are they normally 5 or 8 ounces?
Probably
Six,
about five.
5 ounces?
Yeah, I don't think it matters what kind of wine, does it?
Okay, red wine, white wine?
Red Cab Sav.
Okay, so you do about 5 ounces of that, which I think is about 125 calories. So your wine was about 500 calories. So we're already at 500, 300, let's say another 150. We're already at 950 calories for that meal.
Meal. And the garlic bread.
And I didn't even do the garlic bread either.
I don't even think we need to we can't even count this high.
Yeah, yeah. So, this kind of gives you an idea of like what's truly going on.
Yeah.
So when we look at right now, when we factor in your activity level, when we factor in your height, your age, your weight, your current weight, so your maintenance calories is around 1,500 calories.
Okay.
That's should be your current maintenance calories. Now, if we start strength training even more, so we do like basically, so it might be a little bit more than that. So like you're looking at 1,550 calories, right? So if we start strength training a little bit more, we can bring that up. We can bring up your food capacity in terms of how many calories your body can burn per day to maintain it. But yeah, like if you were looking to lose weight, then we would have to be in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So,
And we are
you'd
looking
probably,
to lose.
yeah, so you would want to be closer to like start off with a moderate calorie deficit. You're averaging about 1,600 right now. So maybe go down to 1,300 calories. But again, we have to make sure that you're being accurate with the amount of calories that you're
Yeah.
consuming. And again, like, some women don't want to put in that work to like track your food and weigh your food, but it is really necessary to really understand what your portion sizes look like. And it's
But
a
I
big
think
eye opener.
But I think you're right. Like if I did that for a week and it's a pain in the butt to do it, but at least at the end of the week, I know that like my 5 carrot sticks are this many. I know this is how much hummus is like, then you can start to eyeball a little better, right?
Yeah, yeah. I do like when clients work with us, we give them a meal plan to follow. So they follow the meal plan with the amount. So the way that it works is that we give them a breakfast. So they have 4 meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. But we tell them the right amount of carbs, proteins, and fats to have at each meal. And then they have a food substitution list that goes along with it. So at breakfast time, they would pick their carb. Maybe it's oats, maybe it's 2 slices of whole wheat toast, maybe it's sourdough bread, whatever their carb is that they want to have at breakfast. But we tell them the exact amount that they need to have. Same with their protein. So maybe their protein at breakfast might be something like egg whites, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. We give them exactly how much they need to have. So they don't have to think about like, how am I going to reach this amount of calories? And
Yeah.
also, how am I going to reach the right amount of protein that I need to get in daily? we
Yeah.
do we do all the thinking for them, and they just follow the meal plan. Yes, they do need to weigh their food, but we only do that in phase 1 and phase 2 of our program. Phase 3 is when they can actually start intuitively eating. It's because we've put the work in for months to know what your portion sizes look like. So now you know how to really build your plates. You know what your portion sizes look like. You've developed a roster of recipes that are, full of protein and have the right amount of calories and macronutrients that we want for each of those meals. And then in phase 3 of our program, that's where we start practicing intuitive eating with our clients to help them maintain those results, right? Because is it sustainable for us to think that we need to weigh and track our food for the rest of our lives? No, but it is the, like what I tell women, it's, we got to put the training wheels on the bike first. The
Yeah.
training wheels got to go on the bike first before we can move the training wheels and you can ride that bike on your own. And
Right.
so it's just a really education, right? About portion sizes.
I think
So
too that is about changing habit because like you said, say I'm going for 1300 a day. If I'm just winging it, like I have breakfast and I go, "Oh crap, that was like 400. I only have this many left." And then I go for lunch, I make my lunch, and then I'm like, "Oh, I only have 150 left for
yeah,
dinner."
yeah,
Like if you're not planning, that's when you're gonna fail. I never like I've heard that
exactly.
so many times, but until you just said that, I don't think it's really resonated with me.
The saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Is that the
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. We say that to our clients all the time as well too. But that's why when we give them the meal plan, it's like we've already kind of pre-planned out so that, if you needed to eat 1,300 calories per day, we know what your portion sizes look for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and your snack to equal the 1,300 calories and also ensure that you're getting enough protein in your diet. So, on
Yes.
average, when it comes to protein and protein consumption, we do recommend 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of target weight or that you're going for. So, for you, Jackie, like your goal is what, to lose 10 pounds? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So we would want you to be eating at least about 120 to 125 grams of protein per day. So that's another
Okay.
thing too. When it comes to that, how are we going to get 125 grams of protein
Yes,
a
without
day?
quitting our jobs and like
Yeah.
being in a kitchen all day.
Yeah. So again, that's why, when clients come to work with us, we figure this out for them. But if that's not something that you want to do, then what I recommend is plan out how you're going to get that. So if you were doing 1,300 calories per day, if we divided that by 4 meals, that would be about 325 calories per meal. But maybe your snack doesn't need to be 325
Yeah.
calories. Maybe your snack can be about 250 calories. So if we did 1,300 minus 250, that's 1,050 calories. Divide that by 3 meals. Well, you can have 3 meals that are 350 calories per meal, right? And then you have your snack that's going to be about 250. Or you could do a snack that's 200 and then add that on to your other meals. So that's how you would want to figure that out. Number 2, when it comes to your protein, you could do 125 grams, divide that by 4. So that would give you about 30 grams of protein per meal. Or you can do 35 times 3 meals, bigger meals, breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, and dinner. And then that would leave you with about 20 grams of protein for your snack.
Okay, so if I had, say, 30 grams of protein in a 300 calorie meal,
Yes.
so 30 300 minus the 30?
For the protein, yeah. So when it comes to protein, it depends on the protein source that you're picking that would have the right amount of protein in there. Let's walk you through how to get the right amount of protein in per day. Because when we look at different protein sources, so we have things like animal protein sources. I know you do the Vega, the vegan, you do the Vega vanilla protein powder. Is that correct? So
Yeah.
there's vegan options as well too with protein. There's whey options. But when we look at, we want to look at high quality protein sources, and typically they come from animal protein sources, a high quality and also lean protein sources. So these are things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, egg whites, and then all meat products, right? So we have poultry, we have pork, we have ground beef, we've got all fish as well too. These are all really great high quality protein sources. So how do we figure out 35 grams of protein for breakfast? Well, first of all, every food item that we have will have a certain amount of calories and a certain amount of protein in there. So let's just say I wanted to do Greek yogurt for a protein source for breakfast. So I'm on Chronometer right now. I have I'm pretending like I'm adding a food to my daily diary, and I'm looking up for Greek yogurt. So I'm going to look up Greek yogurt plain non-fat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide how many grams I want to have of this. So let's just say I had 300 grams of Greek yogurt. That would actually equal 30 grams of protein.
Okay.
Okay. So, and also it equals 177 calories. So
Okay.
this is a very kind of a lean, really lean protein source. What I do like to, a good rule of thumb when it comes to protein, we want to have about 10 grams of protein for every 100 calories. If it goes above that, then it becomes more of like a not so lean protein source. So this
Oh,
is actually really great because we've got 30 grams of protein with 177 calories. Now, 30 grams of 300 grams of Greek yogurt, that might be a lot for some people to have. So maybe we can drop that down to about 250 grams of Greek yogurt, which will give us 25 grams of protein. And then you might want to mix that in with another protein source. So a lot of our clients will do like overnight oats, where they'll
yeah.
mix this with a little bit of protein powder. They'll do chia seeds or some oats as well too, and then they mix that in with some high protein milk. So right now I'm really a big fan of the Natrel Plus protein milk. I don't know
Okay.
if you've seen it, but Costco sells it as well too. It's very low in fat, but it's very high in protein. So if we did a cup of this, it's got 160 calories, 18 grams of protein, 5 grams of fat, 9 grams of carbs. So this is actually a really great protein source as well too. So you can also do milk in your coffee if you wanted to, or you can add the milk to do like an overnight oats. But it will depend on the protein source that you choose. So my client that just came on with me, her meal plan was to get 120 grams of protein per day. And so her question was to me, well, Sarah, I'm not understanding. At lunchtime, you have me for chicken, it's 116 grams of chicken. Then at dinner time, I think it was pork tenderloin, which was 111 grams of pork tenderloin. And in her mind, she thought she was eating over 200 grams of protein. That the amount of that food equaled the amount of
Oh,
protein in
okay.
that
I'm
food.
with her. I was so confused by that.
Yeah.
Okay. It
So
doesn't
what we have
mean it
to
doesn't equal, like the weight of the meat doesn't equal the amount of protein.
exactly. That's right. And so it depends on that protein source that you're having. So using an app like Chronometer or MyFitnessPal, it'll tell you. I like Chronometer better than MyFitnessPal because you can play around with the amounts in grams, where it's
Okay.
it's a little bit more difficult to do that in MyFitnessPal. So for example, chicken, let's say I want chicken. I want 35 grams of chicken breast at lunchtime. So if I look up chicken breast cooked, and I'm doing that in the app right now, I've got the desktop version. chicken breast cooked. Let's see how much 120. There we go. 120 grams of cooked chicken breast gives 36 grams of protein.
Okay.
It's got 3.8 grams of fat, zero carbs in it. So we might, with certain food items, we might have an overlap of a little bit of carbs and a little bit of fats in it as well too. You're always going to have some fats in protein sources, except for some, for example, egg whites have no fats and no carbs. It's pure protein. So
Right.
that's why it's a really great protein source to have that you can mix in. But with this particular food item, you know, for you, if you wanted to get 35 grams of protein, you'd probably do about 115 grams of cooked chicken breast.
Okay.
And that equals 174 calories.
Okay. So that with like a little something else is could be a lunch. Like
Yeah,
an
you could do
avocado,
you
sliced avocado.
avocado, you want to have some carbs in there as well too. So you could do that. Maybe you do a salad with it. Then you want to count the calories from your olive oil. So a tablespoon of olive oil is, I think, about 120 calories. Let's look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 calories. So if you were
Okay.
doing a salad dressing, right? And this was I used to do this all the time, do free pour my olive oil on salads and dressing my veggies. But like that free pour, like how much oil did I put on that? Was I eating like a tablespoon of olive oil, which equals 120 calories? So for you, if you needed to do a meal that was 350 calories, we would probably do that chicken, which was 174. Probably want to use to dress, if let's say you're having a salad with this, maybe do like 2 teaspoons of olive oil. That's 80 calories. Now we need a carb, right? We'd like to make our meals out of protein, carbs, and fats. You will get, like, if you're having salad or if you're having veggies, that will count a little bit towards your carbs, but maybe you have like a slice of sourdough bread to go with it, right? Let's look that up. A slice of sourdough bread.
Yeah, this is like the Farm Boy's own sourdough batard, I think they call it.
Farm boy.
Yeah.
Okay, farm boy sourdough. Let's look it up. Oh, perfect. Oh, Batard. There it is. Okay, so, this unfortunately only goes by loaf. So let's just say one
Okay.
slice of it was about 30 grams. Let's just say you weighed out one slice and it was 30 grams. You probably want to do a little bit more than that. So let's say a 40-gram slice is going to equal 88 calories, right?
Ah,
So now we're 174 plus 80 plus 88. We're close. We're almost there. We're at about 342 calories for that lunch.
yeah. You can see just by what you're saying here how it really adds up.
It does. And
Like
so a
adds
lot
up.
of, yeah, it does. Go ahead.
Oh, well, no, I just mean like, because I'm doing what you said not to do. Like, well, I'm having avocado and carrots and hummus. Like, I'm eating all the good things. I use like I don't use butter with my veg. Like when I'm cooking, I use olive oil, but I use way too much olive oil. Like now, from what I hear. It, but the thing is too, you don't want to compromise flavor because I don't want
Yeah.
eating to be painful. I hate, and I'm
Yeah.
a texture person. I hate cottage cheese.
Okay.
I'll eat it on like potatoes instead of sour cream. I like it that way. I'm not a yogurt fan at all, but I will put it in with other things so it's not the predominant texture
Yeah.
or flavor. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, being a little creative and getting around all that, but understanding how to build that is the most important thing.
Yeah. And, we don't need to compromise flavor. You can have the oils, you can have the butter, you can have the fats to flavor, but maybe we offset that with having a leaner protein source that is
Yeah.
not very high in fat, right? Like now let's look at ground beef. Ground beef has a higher, more fat in it than a chicken does. So, if you wanted to have something like ground beef, let's look that up right now. So let's say we did extra lean ground beef.
Yep.
Let's do that cooked beef, ground beef, extra lean. Let's say we did 100 grams of that. So 100 grams of this is 222 calories. It has
Wow.
30 grams of protein, but it also has 10 grams of fat. So when we compared that with like the 115 grams of chicken breast, it's lower in calories, but it was only 5 grams of fat. So
Yeah.
when we talk, remember we talked about earlier protein, carbs, and fats. For every gram of fat, you have to multiply that by 9 to get the calories. So if you're having a fattier protein source, the calories are going to go up because it has more fat content in it, as opposed to a leaner protein source like chicken breast, ground turkey, ground chicken,
Mhm.
fish, a lot of white fish, things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. Now, with your point with the cottage cheese, I know a lot of people don't like that. But what we can do is we can mix that cottage cheese with other things. So I do this cottage cheese pizza dough where I blend the cottage cheese with egg whites, and then I add whole wheat flour to it, and I make a dough out of it. And it tastes absolutely delicious. I top it off with a little bit of pesto. I top it off with a little bit of mozzarella cheese, and I've got myself a high protein pizza.
Oh, I
So
need
if you
that
don't have my
recipe.
recipe book, do you have my recipe book? You should have it.
No. I
I'll send it to you.
Okay. I
I'll send you
definitely
my
want to
recipe
try
book.
that. Makes me feel like I'm getting all the bad things, but it's good.
Yeah, exactly. And so like using cottage cheese, like so for example here, I've got a piece of this here. I'll show it to you. This is like
Okay.
my breakfast that I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
But this is strawberry cheesecake, protein cheesecake. So what's in this is strawberries, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein powder. I've got eggs in here as well too, and oats. And I've what else did I put in here? I think I added a little bit of stevia for just a little bit extra sweetness in here. But this is like my breakfast. Look how big that is. But this
Yeah.
piece here, I think it's about 400 calories, but it's got a lot of protein in it. So my recipes, I mix a lot of these protein sources like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt. That's kind of hidden in the recipe, but it's boosting up the protein intake in that particular food recipe.
Okay. Now, just a quick question on that. I try not to use processed sugar anymore. But
Yeah.
when I have my first coffee, you see I put the protein powder in, but it's vanilla flavored, so I don't need anything. And
No,
it's
no, that's
almost,
already sweet enough.
yeah, it's almost too sweet. But the second coffee, I only have two and I only have them in the morning. So the second coffee, I use the same cup. There's a little bit of the protein powder left on the bottom. And if I want to sweeten it, I'll put a little bit of maple syrup in.
Yeah, that's great
Bad,
too.
good, bad,
No,
good.
maple syrup
No.
is great, but again, it has calories, right?
Yeah.
So, we got to account for all of these things. I do like to recommend like a stevia or a monk fruit
Oh,
to
I do
sweeten.
like monk fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's low in calories, right? So if we did 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, it's 50 calories, right? But I like to recommend stevia. It's a more natural sweetener. There's lots of benefits to taking it as well, too, in terms of what the research and data shows us. So you could do a stevia or you could do a monk fruit. Is if you're in a calorie deficit, we have to be mindful of the calories because we're
Yes.
trying to we're trying to not go over like for you, you're trying not to go over the 1300 calories. So we want to be selective of, do I want to put stevia in here or do I want maple syrup and give up 50 of my calories for maple syrup when I can use that towards maybe a higher volume carb like brown rice or sweet potato or
Yeah.
quinoa that will be a little bit more filling for you.
Okay. All right. I'm definitely going to be looking through your book for some recipes here and keeping all of this in mind because, wow, I've learned so much just from this conversation. Can we just, like, before we wrap, can we talk a little bit about working out and weight training?
Yes.
In relation, like, I'm thinking, I just want everyone to know, I'm approaching this from the mindset of where I hear so many women in my group, like, we're not happy with the weight we're at.
Mhm.
We're tired. It's hard to work out. I have to do it first thing in the morning. As soon as I get in from my dog walk, I work out
Awesome.
because I'm also the most productive and creative in the morning. So I really want to get to work right away because, like, I get very excited to get working. So
Awesome.
I cram it all in first thing in the morning. Is there any sort of guidelines or recommendations? Like, you saw that I'm doing some weight training 3 days a week. I'm
Mhm.
also doing
Mhm.
Pilates and yoga, all at home, all on video. So, like, I'm not hardcore at a gym.
Okay.
Um, do you have any thoughts for someone in my situation? Because I do know a lot of women who want to just kind of do this at home, um, and and kind of work around their own schedules to do it,
Yeah.
but be effective,
Yeah.
because like when we're not at a gym and we don't have anyone else watching us, I'll cheat. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'll go
Yeah.
way lighter on myself than anybody else would. And if I don't have to
Yeah.
impress someone next to me at the gym, I'm like, I'm just gonna put that 10-pound weight down
Yeah.
and use a 3-pounder.
A good question. So let's actually, I wanted to touch base on this because we have to think about, first of all, how our bodies burn calories. Okay. So we have the basal metabolic rate. So this is how many calories your body burns at rest. That's 70% of our calorie burn per day. Okay. Then we have our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, also known as NEAT, NEAT. This takes up 15% of our calorie burn per day. So what falls into this NEAT category is your daily walking, is your fidgeting. It's, I'm Italian, I use my hands all the time. It's the fidgeting, it's the movement and all of this stuff that happens. It's like doing your laundry, unloading your dishwasher, all of this non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's 15% of your calorie burn per day. Then we look at the thermic effect of feeding, how many calories your body burns digesting food. Okay. That is another, I think we're at 10%. And then the final 5% comes from exercise. Okay. So exercise thermogenesis. So this concept of I am going to like do tons and tons of cardio and burn these calories in this 1 hour, like that's not really how the body works, and it's not the most effective way. Uh, how we can influence these numbers is we can influence our basal metabolic rate by gaining more lean muscle on our body. So at the age of 30, we start losing lean muscle mass. It's at 3 to 8% per year. Now, when we go through perimenopause and menopause, we are losing estrogen. Estrogen is an anabolic hormone, and testosterone as well too. Believe it or not, we actually have more testosterone in our bodies than we do estrogen and progesterone. So we're
Oh, I didn't know
losing. Yeah, yeah, we have more than like when we look at like the how it's calculated in terms of the volume, like the metric that we use. If we calculate it between all of them, we have more testosterone than we do have progesterone and estrogen. But when we lose estrogen and testosterone during this time period, these are both anabolic hormones that help us build lean muscle mass. So if we are not using muscle, if we're not strength training, we're losing lean muscle mass as we age. This is going to slow down our resting metabolic rate. So this is why a lot of women are maybe doing all of the same things, but they don't understand, what's happening with their body composition. Well, if you're losing lean muscle mass and your resting metabolic rate is declining, meaning the amount of calories that your body's burning at rest, then what ends up happening is, even though a lot of women are like, I'm the same weight, but I feel like I'm carrying more body fat. Well, it's
yeah.
because you actually are carrying more body fat. You've lost that lean muscle mass. So we can influence the resting metabolic rate by having more muscle on our body. So how do we do that? We have to be very strategic in the way that we're training. We want to do progressive overload strength training. So that means that we are doing a set program for at least 6 to 8 weeks at one time. And within that programming, we want to have a lot of compound movements in that program. So what are compound exercises? These are squats, deadlifts, hip thrust, rows, shoulder press, chest press. Okay. So these are the compound movements that we want to be doing. And of course, there's lots of variations of these exercises, but compound movements are multi-joint and multi-exercise movements, meaning that we are using more than one muscle group. You have more bang for your buck. And we want to start off our workout with these compound movements. We can incorporate some of the isolation exercises like bicep curls, tricep exercises, side lateral raises. We can incorporate some of these more targeted isolation exercises, but the majority of our workout should be of these compound movements. And we want to be training at least 3 to 4 times a week. And the point with progressive overload, is that every week you're trying to lift heavier. So if you are lifting the same 10 pounds for months and months at a time, you're not providing the right type of stimulus to your muscle, to your body to build lean muscle mass. And then really that's another reason why a lot of women are like, I don't know what's going on. I'm working out all the time, but and my question, some women I talk to that I do these assessments with, I've been working out for 2 years. Okay, tell me how heavy you've been lifting over these past 2 years. Like, what's the heaviest that you're currently lifting in a squat, let's say? Well, 25 pounds. Well, there's a lot of gains that you've left on the table there, because if you've been always lifting 25 pounds in a squat, you're not progressing and you're not providing the right type of stimulus that your body needs to build that lean muscle mass. So when we're in this age, we have to be very strategic. We don't have room for error in terms of like really getting the results that we want. I know it sucks, but we don't have estrogen helping us and testosterone helping us like they did when we were younger. And we had this anabolic, hormone that allowed us to build more lean muscle mass. We have to be very strategic. So how do we build lean muscle mass? First of all, strength training, like the way that I told you, meaning that if you start this program, it's the same program. I know it's boring. A lot of my clients are like, it's the same program. I'm like, yes, but that's what gets you the results. It's really the boring work that gets you the results at the end of the day. Meaning that you're doing the same exercises on day one, the same exercises on day two, maybe same exercises on day three. And every week you're trying to lift a little bit heavier, even if it's 1 pound heavier. So if you did 10 pounds the week before, you can buy these little fractional weights that you put on your weights. And maybe you can go to 11 pounds. And then the week after that, maybe you go to 12 pounds. And then the week after that, you go to 13. And you're progressively lifting heavier week after week. When we're lifting, you mentioned that like I'll put down the 10 pounds and go to the 3. We want to make sure that the load is appropriate too, meaning that we're lifting to the point where we have maybe 1 or 2 reps left in the reserve. So when we're setting up our strength training program, we want to be doing maybe 3 to 4 sets, maybe 5 or 6 exercises at most.
Okay.
And rep range is maybe like between 8 to 12 reps. That's kind of the rep range. But when you're doing your reps, you want to be lifting to the point that those last like 1 or 2 reps, you can maybe squeeze out another 2,
Okay.
maybe, or another 1. If you're not doing that, then you're not lifting with the right amount of reload, and we're not stimulating the body to build lean muscle. We're not signaling to the body, let's go, let's build some lean muscle. We have to add some resistance to that muscle to stimulate that.
Okay, and you're also talking about like your program, like resting every other day?
Yeah, that would be ideal. So if you're doing 3 days a week of training, you could do 3 days of full body. If you're doing 4 days a week of training, you could do 2 upper days and 2 lower bit days. Yes, definitely rest in between. Also, a big thing that I see is that we're not resting in between our sets. You do 10 reps, you might like rest for 20 seconds, and then you go back and do another 10 reps. Well, we should be resting at least 60 to like at least a minute or 2 in between our sets so that we
Oh, okay.
have enough energy to lift heavier.
Okay, so here's a lifting question. And
Yes.
it's not just me who said this. I swear to God, I can show you emails. Um, so if we're adding weight every week, are we going to be like 90 years old and lifting 300 pounds? Like, when do we stop? When do we
Yeah,
stop?
you will get to a point, like you will get to a point where it'll be very hard to advance, right? Like it especially in certain type of exercises. Like, so for example, like side lateral raises,
Oh,
this is an
yeah.
isolation exercise. Like it's taken me years to get to like 15 pounds. So with isolation exercise, it'll be very hard to do it. And it also really depends on your training, right? Like right now, I'm training in a way where I'm doing very low reps. I'm doing like 5 to 6 reps. I can go very high in my load because I'm doing lower reps, right?
Right.
Now, if you're doing like 8 to 10 reps per set, it will take time for you to build up, but it will get to a point where, like, if you're training all the time, that you will kind of max out on certain things. But you can, like, for myself, I brought this other training style into place where I'm now training at a lower rep range, but doing higher loads. And then I might go back to, training at 8 to 10 reps, and doing lower loads.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense because I think the fear is like, when do we stop? Like like if I'm 56 right now, am I going to be 61 and having to lift like 70 pounds? You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then keep going a pound a week? Like, holy hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but also keep in mind is that that's with that set program, right? Now you're
Yeah.
going to go on and do another program for another 6 to 8 weeks. There'll be different exercises, right?
Yeah.
So,
True.
like, instead of doing like maybe a goblet squat, maybe now we're going to do a box squat, or maybe we're going to do a sumo squat, right? So now that particular exercise, you'll be able to handle a different load for it. It's still a squat. We're doing a variation of a squat, or
Right.
maybe we're doing a split squat or a Bulgarian split squat, right? So there's so many exercises out there that you can be doing to give you that variation that, like, you'll never reach that point. But I've been training now for 5 years consistently. There are certain exercises that it's going to take me time to advance in, especially those isolating exercises.
Okay. Which makes sense to me. That makes sense. That scares me less. I'm still frightened, but okay. So if I had to build a kit for myself based on this conversation today,
Yeah.
I would say, and I want to work out at home because, like, I know my workout style, especially in this weather. I am not bundling up and going to the gym.
Yeah, you
Uh,
don't need to. You don't need to. 80% of our clients work out at home. They're busy moms.
yeah,
They have they've got careers. They don't have time to drive to a gym,
yeah,
and they want to work out at home.
exactly. Okay, so combining nutrition with the fitness portion that we talked about, I need a scale to weigh my food.
Yes.
Um,
You need an
anything else
app.
and
You
an
need an
app.
app. So
I need an
download
app.
Chronometer. It's free to use. I love
Okay.
the app as well too, because you can scan barcodes for the foods that you're using, and
I
it's
love
free.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to include that in the notes, the link to that app.
Yeah.
Okay, what about my home gym? I've got a yoga mat that's padded.
Okay.
Like, it's actually
Yeah.
more of a gymnastics mat that folds. It's
Oh,
really,
yeah, yeah, I have one of those too. Okay, so
yeah.
you have, what do you have? Tell me. I'm gonna
Okay,
jot it
so I
down.
have two 10-pound hand weights. I
Okay.
have two, I think they're 2-pound wrist weights. I got them for my daughter when she had a little injury. I
Okay.
have 5-pound ankle weights. So I do dead bugs with the wrist weights and the ankle weights.
Mhm.
Um, I don't have the barbell. My husband does, but I've told a friend of mine who's a trainer, I'm like, I am so afraid of being at home and doing this and snapping my neck. So I'm a chicken, but I also have a 20-pound kettlebell and I have resistance bands. So if based on what I've just said,
Mhm.
someone's listening to this and says, okay, I want to get started, what would you say out of
Yeah.
all the things I've said?
Yeah, you've got enough to get started. You've got 2, 5, 10. I would probably invest in like a 15-pound set of weights as well too. And then you've
Okay.
got the 20-pound kettlebell that you can do a lot of like squats with as well too.
Yeah.
The barbell, if it's an Olympic style barbell that your husband has, that's 45 pounds. You could do, like, if you're not very like when we're squatting with a barbell, it would be good to get like a squat rack to help you, because it's very hard to get that over top of your head on your own. You'd want to have a squat rack or someone there helping you. But I mean, with the barbell, you could do other things with it. You can do hip thrusts with the barbell. You can do rows with the barbell, so it's not going over top of your head.
Yeah.
There are other different type of exercises that you could do with the barbell. And yeah, no, I think I would recommend picking up some 15-pound weights, and then also picking up, they're called fractional weights.
Yeah.
So they can, like, click on to your dumbbells, and you can buy them in 1 pound or 2.5 increments, so that you can make your 10-pound hand weights either 11 pounds or 12.5 pounds.
Okay. Okay. I love this. So
Yeah.
that to me, and also I live in the city, so I have a half a house. So
Yeah.
I work out of the back of my house. I also have a really crazy golden retriever who, as soon as I lie down to do any exercise, jumps all over me. So I think I burn some calories trying to fight him off. Um, I'm gonna I'm going to do a more realistic look at my food. I do have a scale.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm going to start tracking a little more based on what you said. I'm going to get the app.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start looking at what I'm how I'm working out because based on what you said, it sounds like I may be cheating
Yeah.
and and may not be pushing myself hard
You
enough.
might not be lifting, you're not giving your body the stimulus that you need to build lean
Yeah.
muscle. And the other big component is like protein is a heavy lifter when it comes to building lean muscle mass.
Okay.
So meaning that protein is what we need for our bodies to build lean muscle mass. So I would try and get your protein intake up closer to about 120 grams. You're not far off. Some days you did 100 and 110. You're not far off. You might need to add a little bit more protein at your lunchtime from what I
Yeah.
saw in your log is like have a little bit more protein there and also with your snacks as well too instead of doing like I mean, oh, you don't like Greek yogurt, but I do this Greek yogurt dip with onion soup mix and it tastes like onion
I
dip.
do that too. Okay, that I
Okay.
like.
Yeah, do
Okay.
that with your veggies because then at least like you can have, hummus is a fat source. It's not a veggie source, right? So
Ah,
you can have a little bit more protein there. I mean, if you get my recipe book, I have lots of really fun snack ideas that you could do for a
okay.
rest for a snack. But yeah,
Okay.
start off with tracking your food. You want a progressive overload training program and you want that's like 6 to 8 weeks, so no random workouts on YouTube. We want something that's structured. And the other thing too is bring up your protein intake. The other thing that I would recommend is getting your steps up a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't
Oh,
have to go overhaul it. I mean, I know you're in your space might be an issue, but I do recommend a lot of women that sit like I'm sitting down all day as well too. Around the corner from here, you can't see this, but I have a treadmill with a desk and a separate, with like basically a desk over top of it
right.
with my laptop on there too. So a lot of times while I am doing Zoom meetings, talking, checking my email, I'll do that on there. Maybe it's 10 or 15 minutes, but I do 10 or 15 minutes multiple times throughout the day. I'm reaching my step goal. Because again, we want to think about calorie burn. 15% of it comes from non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So 5,000 steps per day is pretty sedentary. We want to get it close to 8 to 10. Doesn't
Okay.
mean it needs to happen right overnight, but maybe the goal for you is like, I'm going to try to get 6,000 consistently a day. Then I'm going to try and get 7,000 consistently a day. Then I'm going to try and get 8,000. That will really help a lot. It lowers cortisol levels and it helps regulate blood sugar levels as well too, which is, for our clients that work with us, they don't do cardio, they do walking because
Okay.
there's so many other health benefits to walking.
Yeah, for sure. I throw a podcast on, not my own, but other podcasts.
Yeah.
Sarah, I cannot thank you enough. Like, I knew you were going to reveal some stuff for me today that I may not have liked. But I was being like brutally honest, and even
Yeah,
my
and I
partner,
appreciate you opening up about that, right? And especially with your audience and really being vulnerable to me and your current situation. But I think it would be helpful for other women to that might be doing the exact same thing that you're doing and
yeah.
wondering like what's going on and really having a good understanding of it.
Well, that's the thing. I think like as women, we're raised to kind of like we have this not really vanity, but we lie to our doctor. Like my doctor, I always tell her how much wine I drink, and she's like, I'm going to multiply this by three because that's what we do. I'm like, no, no, I am literally telling you the truth, and that's why your jaw is dropping. So, because I want a solution based on what's actually happening for me so I can get a result. But if I lie about it or fudge it, I'm going to
That's
get a
right.
solution based on someone else's problem. Like,
That's right.
I'm
Yeah,
not going
good
to
for you.
lose the weight or feel better, get the energy by not being accurate about where the problem is coming from. So I think, all of us need to be a little more honest. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Um, hell, like we're in midlife. We've earned our right to like kind of like take it easy. But this is also the time we really, really, really need to button down on our nutrition and our fitness. So thank you so much, Sarah.
You're
I'm going to
welcome.
include all the links you sent me. You've got such amazing content. I follow your newsletter, your Facebook group. I'm going to share that with everybody so they can follow you too. And
Thanks.
you do say you give like that free consultation. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Just like I can't even believe what I've learned today.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna go pop my daughter's ADHD pill, clean up my pantry, my fridge, my cupboards, and replace it all and put a scale front and center. And I'm gonna get at this because I really, really don't want to carry this extra 10 pounds. It's not just
Yeah.
like uncomfortable and I don't want to buy new clothes. It's unhealthy for me at my
Yeah.
height. So I've got a
Yeah.
heart issue I have to worry about. Sarah,
Okay.
thank
Gotcha.
you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
This was fun. Thank you for letting me come and do this. This was awesome. Very different podcast that I've done, but I wish I could do more of this. This is was really good. I love it.